Welcome to the bunker, everyone. Don't forget to sign in by subscribing.
Welcome back, and here we are again, so grab a coffee or a drink and let's start the transmission. UFO conspiracy theories are a subset of conspiracy theories which argue that various governments and politicians globally, in particular the government of the United States, are suppressing evidence that unidentified flying objects are controlled by a non-human intelligence or built using alien technology. Such conspiracy theories usually argue that Earth governments are in communication or cooperation with extraterrestrial visitors despite public disclaimers, and further that some of these theories claim that the governments are explicitly allowing alien abduction. Individuals who have publicly stated that UFO evidence is being suppressed include Senator Barry Goldwater, British Admiral Lord Hill Norton, former NATO head and chief of the British Defence Staff, Vice Admiral Roscoe H. Hillenkotter, first CIA director, Israeli Brigadier General Chaim Eshed, former director of space programs for the Israel Ministry of Defense, astronauts Gordon Cooper and Edgar Mitchell, and former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer. Beyond their testimonies and reports, they have presented no evidence to substantiate their statements and claims. According to the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, little or no evidence exists to support them despite significant research on the subject by non-governmental scientific agencies. Scholars of religion have identified some new religious movements among the proponents of UFO conspiracy theories, most notably Heaven's Gate, the Nation of Islam, and Scientology. The UFO phenomenon has been loosely documented dating back to cave drawings to present day. They even have a database of saucers depicting all the different models of ships. At one point, the United States even had an agency to investigate reported UFO abductions called Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book was the code name for the systematic study of unidentified flying objects by the United States Air Force from March 1952 to its termination on December 17, 1969. The project, headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, was initially directed by Captain Edward J. Ruppelt and followed projects of a similar nature such as Project Sign established in 1947, and Project Grudge in 1948. Project Blue Book had two goals, namely, to determine if UFOs were a threat to national security, and to scientifically analyze UFO-related data. Thousands of UFO reports were collected, analyzed, and filed. As a result of the Condon Report, which concluded that the study of UFOs was unlikely to yield major scientific discoveries, and a review of the report by the National Academy of Sciences, Project Blue Book was terminated in 1969. The Air Force supplies the following summary of its investigations. No UFO reported, investigated, and evaluated by the Air Force was ever an indication of threat to our national security. There was no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represented technological developments or principles beyond the range of modern scientific knowledge, and there was no evidence indicating that sightings categorized as unidentified were extraterrestrial vehicles. Well, now that we have established that our governments are and have always been a bunch of big fat liars, even in the face of hardcore testimony by astronauts, our honored and decorated military men and women, backed up with radar and telemetry data. They tried their hardest to discredit these brave people. So finally in June of 2022 NASA is joining the hunt for UFOs, a top space agency official said Thursday, forming a team that would examine observations of events that cannot be identified as aircraft or known natural phenomena. The space agency would bring a scientific perspective to efforts already underway by the Pentagon and intelligence agencies to make sense of dozens of such sightings, Thomas Zurbuchen, the head of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, said during a speech before the National Academies of Science, Engineering and Medicine. He said it was high-risk, high-impact research that the space agency should not shy away from, even if it is a controversial field of study. The announcement comes just weeks after a rare and historic hearing before Congress on sightings of what the Defense Department calls unidentified aerial phenomena, more commonly known as UFOs, and a report issued last year by the Director of National Intelligence that catalogued more than 140 flying objects that officials were not able to identify. Let's take a little break here and talk about the actual sightings themselves. Some just can't be denied nor confirmed though, but there have been cases of masses of people witnessing a UFO sighting for hours over cities and towns in many countries. One such example was called the Phoenix Lights. The Phoenix Lights, sometimes called the Lights over Phoenix, were a series of widely sighted unidentified flying objects observed in the skies over the southwestern states of Arizona and Nevada, and the Mexican state of Sonora on March 13, 1997.
It is the light show which turned on the lights, so to speak, for many non-believers, doubters, or people flat out in the dark about UFOs.
On March 13, 1997, while thousands of people were looking skyward purposely for a glimpse of the Hale-Bopp comet, they also caught a glimpse of either these V or delta or boomerang-shaped orbs.
One of those skeptics was Dr. Lynn Kitai.
I am a healthy skeptic, but I saw this up close and personal and captured 35mm photographs of it.
Not content with the government claim that the lights were military flares, she began a 7-year journey to document everything she could find out about those lights.
What I did end up with, after keeping an intricate journal for 7 years, was 750 pages of such compelling and credible data.
That journal eventually became this book, which led to a documentary which will be shown this coming Sunday at Scottsdale Harkins Shea Theater.
What's exciting is we also have another medical doctor who has stayed anonymous for 21 years that will be speaking and telling his story.
The screenings sell out every year. Dr. Kitai expects this year to be bigger than ever thanks to a New York Times article documenting a military program to study UFOs, making the Phoenix Lights more important than ever.
The Phoenix Lights are validated as something that could be otherworldly.
I'm Jared Dillingham for Arizona's Family.
Lights of varying descriptions were seen by thousands of people between 7:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, in a space of about 300 miles, 480 kilometers, from the Nevada line, through Phoenix, to the edge of Tucson. There were two distinct events involved in the incident: a triangular formation of lights seen to pass over the state, and a series of stationary lights seen in the Phoenix area. The United States Air Force identified the second group of lights as flares dropped by a 10 Warthog aircraft that were on training exercises at the Berry Goldwater Range in southwest Arizona. Witnesses claimed to have observed a huge Carpenter's square-shaped UFO, containing 5 spherical lights or possibly light-emitting engines. Fife Symington, the governor of Arizona at the time, years later said he witnessed this incident, describing the object as being otherworldly. How about we talk about the different species of aliens that we know about? We can start with the most obvious, the Greys. The Greys come from a star system known as Zeta Reticuli, which is a star system located somewhere in the southern celestial hemisphere and are thought to be one of the alien races in contact with Earth. At a little over 40 light-years away, they're practically our closest neighbors, the type of neighbors that you conveniently forget to invite over for a dinner party. If we had to pick out one particular race in the cosmos and call them the bad guys, it would definitely be these guys. Tall and humanoid with a long head, and distinctive gray features, they are the most commonly depicted alien life form in our media and are also the beings that are most commonly described by alien abductees who have been returned back to Earth. The Greys have the greatest tendency to be involved in abductions because they like to stockpile humans. They think of Earth the way that you would of a chicken farm, just brimming with genetic material that they can't wait to get their hands on. They come to Earth to pick up a juicy selection, then take it home to do cosmos only knows what. On the off chance that they're not happy with their selection, then they bring it back and choose another. Next is the Sasani. Hybrids are particularly common across the cosmos and are believed to be of the alien races in contact with Earth. Some even believe that we humans are genetic hybrids ourselves, but that's a discussion for another conspiracy forum. The Sasani are a hybrid that was developed from reptilians and gray humans. Their development was found to be necessary after the Greys mutated themselves through genetic experimentation to a point where they could no longer reproduce using conventional means, i.e. alien sex, and were only able to spawn new generations by cloning themselves. Cloning is well and good if you want to create new beings, however it gives no genetic variation over successive generations, which lead to problems. So they came to Earth and convinced a few people to share our genetic information with them. From this genetic crossover, the universe was blessed with an entirely new type of being, the Sasani, who in a way are like our interstellar cousins. They were then given their own planet and allowed to roam free and evolve into the best beings that they can be. The Sasani have a stronger connection with their higher selves and are believed to be where humans will one day be, although they are millennia ahead of us and are one of up to 15 alien races that are actively engaged in humanity's conscious awakening. And then there are the Arcturians. Of all of the species known believed to inhabit to the Milky Way, the Arcturians are the most ancient and the wisest. They are said to be one of the alien races in contact with Earth.
Hey, You sure wouldn't mind getting some more of that Arcturian poontang. Remember that time?
If Yoda came from any one of the alien species on this list, it would probably have been this one. Theirs was the first system to be given the gift of life in our galaxy, and all of the other species, ours included, may have descended from them. They've mutated and evolved over their time and now exist in many forms. The main race of Arcturians stands to about 5 feet with green skin and large eyes that can see right through you. Just like most nerds, this race's development of their minds rather than their bodies made them small in stature, so you could probably take one of them in a fist fight. However, their advanced intelligence means that if any alien species out there knows how to use the Force from Star Wars, it's these guys, so watch out. Thankfully, they do have a reputation for being the most kind and loving beings in the galaxy, so if you manage to piss them off, then you must be a douchebag of galactic proportions. Now the Nordics. The Nordics look like Norse gods, blonde with brilliant blue eyes and the bodies of 6 foot tall, finely toned athletes. You can see where the Scandinavians got their inspiration for Thor from. The Greys got a lot of attention when it comes to alien sightings, but the Nordics are a species that come into contact with humans almost as much as they do. However, they are more interested in the well-being of the human race than the Greys are, even though some eyewitness reports claim to have seen Nordics in the same alien craft as Greys. A possible explanation for this is that those Greys were slaves or servants to the Nordics, as a Grey's lack of empathy makes it an ideal butler. The Pleiadians come from a bright star cluster known as the Pleiades and are one of the beings in the Milky Way that closely resemble humans. They are thought to be one of the alien races in contact with Earth, therefore you could be sitting in a room with one right now and not even know it. A major difference between us and them is that they are particularly sensitive to the physic energies that are constantly streaming across the universe. This means that the best way of reaching out to one of them would be by concentrating on sending out psychic messages. Put simply, if you really want to meet up with a Pleiadian for a cup of tea or a few brews, just sit down and meditate on it. The Yahyel. There's been a lot of talk about which race will be the first to officially disclose their presence to Earthlings. The one that alien experts, assuming that you can call them that, all seem to agree on is the Yahyel. This is one of the alien races in contact with Earth and is known to be kind and loving, and they have been touted as the best beings to make first contact with us due to their advanced and harmonious relationship with technology, something that we here on Earth are having a little trouble balancing out. Whenever a new invention comes about, we weaponize it first, feed the hungry second. The Yahyel know that we're not the friendliest beings out there, so they're taking their time to make themselves known by easing their way into our psyches with friendly UFO sightings such as the March 1997 sighting known as the Phoenix Lights that they claim responsibility for. During that event, they gave thousands of people across the state of Arizona in North America a spectacular light show in the sky, and there's even video for anybody who missed it. The Anunnaki. If human beings were able to successfully colonize another planet, what would be the first thing we do? Pillage it for resources, of course, which is exactly what the Anunnaki did when they arrived on Earth. They came from Planet X, aka Nibiru, an almost mythical planet that some scientists believe rotates around our Sun on a very wide elliptical orbit that takes it far out into the expanses of space before coming back in for a close shave with our Sun. This crazy elliptical orbit is what makes its presence so hard to prove. However, the presence of the Anunnaki has been noted down in texts that date back to Mesopotamian cultures. They are believed to be one of the alien races in contact with Earth. Anyway, on Nibiru's last brush with the planets of the inner solar system, it crashed into another rock, and the resulting collision created a planet that we now call Earth. While their planet was here, a few of the Anunnaki hopped off of their world and onto ours in search of a yellow element that they covet called gold. Have you ever wondered why gold is so valuable? Yeah, it's shiny, but it doesn't do anything useful like heal the sick or produce energy, so why do we as a species desire it so much? We desire it because the Anunnaki desire it, and while they were here they enlisted us as their workforce to mine it for them. That's right, our entire existence is based on working our socks off every day so that our alien overloads can have their fix of gold and other precious metals. Isn't that grand? The reptilians. Before the Anunnaki stopped by and genetically engineered a bipedal workforce to dig up dirt for them, there was a race of intelligent beings who lived here and is thought to be one of the alien races in contact with Earth. We know them as the reptilians. Scaly and standing to about the size of a human being, they were driven underground by the Anunnaki, where they are said to still reside today in a network of complex underground tunnels. Those that are open-minded and curious may be able to find these tunnels and pop in for a visit. However, considering that we're the reason that they can't come up for a breath of fresh air, It's likely that they'll skin you alive and leave your skeleton on a stick hanging outside of the entrance as a warning to any other scale-less punks who decide to invade their territory. You've been warned. Well, that's all I have for the moment, although there are literally tens of thousands of examples and evidence of alien life out there. Safe is to say all secret government agencies just suck. I mean, really, what can be the harm in easing the human population into the truth? I had a conversation with a friend and she said it would cause mental breakdowns because religious people would not be able to handle it. I say, why would humans be so ignorant to think that God only created us? So in closing, keep looking up and keep the fire of curiosity alive. One day we will know the truth and hopefully a better world will emerge. If you would be so kind, can you also hit the like button and subscribe with notifications turned on? It really helps the channel out. Till the next time on Infinite Questions, stay blessed, and stay frosty, you good people.